Hey everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Colorado. Welcome back to All Up in Your Business, where today we're going to have some fun and go through your comments and answer your legal questions. But before we get into all of that fun stuff, if you're new to All Up in Your Business, welcome. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. You can click the little bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video, and you can check the description for links to additional information and resources. While I am a lawyer, I am not your lawyer. The stuff I talk about in my videos should not be taken as a substitute for actual legal advice. If you need help with any legal situation, you should consult with a lawyer who's licensed in your state. Okay, now with all of that out of the way, let's move on to your questions. Can someone else use your biz name even if you have a DBA? Yes. Registering a DBA or a trade name, doing business as, or a fictitious name, it doesn't do anything really to prevent somebody else from using that name. You may have some like common law trademark rights in the name that could maybe prevent someone from using it, but solely the act of registering a DBA or a trade name, that does nothing to protect the name. At best, the most it's going to do is prevent somebody else from registering that same name in the same state. That's about it. But a DBA is not the same as a trademark. Registering a DBA is not the same as registering a trademark. They're two completely different things, and a DBA doesn't protect the name really or prevent somebody else from using it. Hi, when filing for an EIN, should you include the DBA name with your LLC, or will that cause issues if you want to use different DBA later under an LLC? So when you are applying for an EIN through the IRS, the application, whether you're doing it online or a paper application, there will be a line for the entity's legal name. That's the LLC's legal name, the legal registered name of the LLC. And then there's the next line that asks for a trade name or a DBA or an alternative name if the legal entity is doing business under a different name. So if you're operating under a DBA, if your LLC is operating under a DBA, you can indicate that DBA on the EIN application. I'm not exactly sure will that cause issues if you want to use a different DBA later under an LLC. That the IRS doesn't really care. The DBAs are state things. We register DBAs at the state level. The IRS is a federal agency. The IRS they don't like care if we have multiple DBAs or anything. It won't cause an issue later. I'm not exactly sure what issues you'd be getting at, but no, indicating the DBA on your EIN application is a good idea. It won't cause issues. Great information as always. Thank you. Thank you. When it comes to the business insurance, do I need to have one business policy for the LLC and a separate one for the DBA? Or do I only need one policy that protects both? Thank you so much. When it comes to the concept of a DBA or a trade name, fictitious name, these are all the same words, different words for the same thing. When it comes to a DBA, the main principle, the main idea to keep in mind is that a DBA is not a separate entity. Say it with me. A DBA does not create a separate entity. A DBA is a nickname for your business. That's kind of the easiest way to describe it. It's like a nickname for your business. When you register a DBA for your LLC, you're not creating a separate thing. You're not creating a separate entity. You're quite literally just giving a nickname for your LLC. And so when we look at it like that, there's no separate thing to cover with insurance. The DBA isn't a separate thing that needs insurance coverage. Let's take my cat, for example. My cat, Little Bird. Where is she? Where is that little bird?
5 minutes later.
Okay, let's use my sweet Little Bird as an example. Her legal name is Little Bird. Her nickname, though, is Bird. She, for lack of a better term, she has a DBA for Bird. That's her nickname. Everyone calls her Bird. She does her life's business under the name Bird. So, there's like pet health insurance that you can get for your pet. If they get sick, insurance covers it. If I have a pet health insurance policy for Little Bird, do you think I'd need a separate policy for Bird? No. On the one policy, they might ask, does your cat have nicknames? And I can indicate on that, okay, Little Bird's nickname is Bird, but it's still the same cat. we're still ensuring the same one cat. Having a nickname doesn't create yet a second little bird. Still just the one little bird. And same idea goes for your LLC that has a DBA to it as well. It's still just the one entity. There isn't a separate thing that needs to be covered with the DBA. So roundabout, very long extended way of answering is just one policy. Your LLC is the only thing that needs to be covered. Hi, I live in a state that allows multiple DBAs as a sole proprietor and I want to open 2 DBAs. How do I record transactions? Do I need an individual bookkeeping system for each DBA? Or is it only one bookkeeping for both? Okay, so again, let's go back and remember a DBA does not create a separate entity. And as a sole proprietor, we haven't created a separate entity with an LLC either. So in this sense, as a sole proprietor with a DBA, it really is kind of a nickname for yourself. This nickname is the one you only use when you're doing business maybe, but this is a nickname for yourself. So do you need individual bookkeeping systems? No, you don't need to. You're not going to be like separating taxes. Each DBA isn't going to have to pay its own taxes or anything. It's all ultimately going to come down to you as the individual because you're a sole proprietor operating under a DBA. Could you still have 2 separate bookkeeping systems? Certainly. And that might be a good idea if you want to be able to track the books and accounting for each DBA, the business that each DBA is doing. If you want to keep those separate and track them separately, you can, but you don't need to. You can use just one bookkeeping system for both. That's fine. It's kind of just a personal choice at that point. Can I use one word only to create a DBA? Absolutely. Yeah, a DBA can be 1 word, 2 words. I don't think there's any limit to how many words you can use in a DBA. So yep, you can use 1 word only to create a DBA. Sure can. Would you have to trademark the DBA name? You don't have to trademark any name. The DBA, all right, let's go back. To trademark something is kind of not the accurate way to describe it. You don't trademark a name. A name can be a trademark and you can register that trademark with the USPTO. And so with this question, the DBA name can be a trademark and you can register that trademark if you want to. You don't have to. There's no legal requirement that you have a trademark registration for a business name or a DBA or anything else. So you can do it, but no, you certainly don't have to. That's a perfect transition now from DBA questions into trademark questions. What if your name is your business name? And if your name no one has, do you still have to have a trademark? So if your own personal legal name is your business name, do you still have to have a trademark? Like I said with the last question, you don't have to have a registered trademark for anything. You can be operating a business under whatever name you want. You don't have to register the trademark for it. But if it's your legal name, you can still register a trademark for your legal name if that's the name you're using for your business. It can be a trademark as well and you can register it. And using your name, that in itself doesn't like prevent anyone else from running a business under your name too. Like if, multiple people usually have the same names in the world. There's not usually just one person with one name. So if somebody else with the same name started a business and used their name as well in the business, that's not necessarily going to be prevented. It all is still a trademark. Like the trademark rules and stuff still apply in the same way, regardless of whether it's your actual personal legal name or not. But the strict answer to this, do you still have to have a trademark? No, you don't have to at all. Trademark question again. For example, if I launch a company called Flower with 2 W's and a different company has Flower with 1 W trademarked, would the above example equal trademark infringement? If we're comparing Flower with 2 W's versus Flower for 1 W, trademark infringement, I don't know. It depends on a million other things besides just the 2 trademarks. If they are in the same industry, if they're selling the same goods and services or closely related goods and services, then probably. Flower with 2 W's and Flower with 1 W would most likely be considered confusingly similar in that instance if they were being used on the same or very closely related goods and services. If they're being used on completely different goods and services, totally unrelated, then probably not. It probably wouldn't be trademark infringement, but that doesn't always mean it's not. If Flower with one W is an extremely popular, famous brand that everybody knows, maybe like a Pepsi or a Disney, then yeah, putting flour with two W's on a completely unrelated product could still be some form of trademark infringement by virtue of that other brand being so well known. But, you know, just comparing these two side by side, we can't say at all. If the goods and services are totally different, then probably not trademark infringement, but who knows? I keep hearing that the business has to be in commerce first before forming the trademark. You don't form a trademark, you have a trademark and you can register the trademark, but whatever. Before forming the trademark, how long does this have to be, and what is the dollar amount that needs to be made before a trademark application makes sense to start? The thing that I think you're meaning is that you have to be using a trademark in commerce before it can be registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So you have to be using the trademark in commerce. How long does this have to be? How long do you have to be using it? There's no rule. There's no like strict, you have to be using it for this amount of time. Use in commerce is the only real requirement with respect to use. Same with the dollar amount. There's no set dollar amount that needs to have been earned or generated or anything with the trademark. It all comes down to, are you using the trademark in commerce? And what exactly that means is not, there's no clear answer to that either. The kind of easiest general way of thinking about it is that you are using your trademark in your business and your business is up and running and you are providing your goods and services to the public or to your consumers. Your goods and services are actively available and being purchased by consumers. That's the easiest way to think of use in commerce, but there's more to it, so you know, it depends. Hi, oh, thank you for hanging around. You're so sweet. What's the point of being in business if you are still taxed 31 to 39% as a business owner? That makes no sense. No way this is correct. First of all, this is a comment from, I think, one of my videos about how to pay yourself in an S corporation. And I very loosely give an example of kind of tax rates and how to determine how much to pay yourself and stuff. It's not correct. The 31 to 39%, I mean, that's not like an accurate reflection of how much you pay in taxes. It's different for everybody. But what's the point of being in business if you're still paying taxes? If your purpose in being in business is to save taxes, what's the point in that? I think the point in being in business, even if you're still paying taxes, is that you get to be in business for yourself. I would much rather pay 31 to 39% in tax and be self-employed than pay, I don't know, maybe 25% taxes, but be somebody else's employee and be told what to do, and not have control over my life or how much time I spend with Little Bird and Rocky. F that, no way. I will gladly pay higher taxes to be in business. That's not necessarily the case, though. You don't pay more solely because you're in business. It kind of all works itself out in the end. But yeah, that's the point of being in business, is that you want to be in business for yourself, or you want to, you know, sell your own products or services. Like, that's the point. The point isn't to save in taxes. Hope you all had fun, because I sure did. I think Little Bird did too. If you learned a thing or two, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, won't you? And make sure you subscribe. Click that little bell if you haven't already, so you're notified when I post a new video. And you can check the description for links to more information and resources as well. We answered a lot of DBA related questions here. If you've got more DBA questions coming up, check out this video right here. I've got a video all about DBAs, so you might find some more helpful info right there. I'll meet you over there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time. Hi.